Ooh, that looks tasty. Welcome, folks. Today the Hungry Gamer is back with another game-bound preview, and today we are talking about Conquest Princess. Now, usually I put all my disclaimers just in the description, but a few disclaimers I want to make sure are not missed here. First one is, I have been hired by Fight in the Box Game, not in a huge capacity, but in a small capacity for this game specifically to help them connect with various media members to get more coverage for this game. And so if you check out this GameFound page, many of the people who have covered the game created content. I made that connection. So that was able to happen. And additionally, the designer of the game and head of Fight in the Box, Sepiyun, is a friend of mine. So just all of that, I want you to be aware of that to start with, though I was not paid to make this video, but just understand that, and I will also say that that may mean that I may come off harsher than I normally would be, because I do want to make sure that you don't think this is just some kind of puff piece. So, you know, maybe it is a puff piece. I don't know. Whatever you think it is, that's what it is. So, anyhow, what Conquest Princess is it is this crisis management game that consists of a bunch of little mini games and mini modules. And as always, what I mean by crisis management is you have kind of one overarching goal that you're trying to achieve, but there is kind of a game timer. You're trying to succeed before the game beats you. And usually those kind of get worse and worse and worse as you go through the game, and this is one of those. Now, the theming of this game is Voltron or Power Rangers meets high fashion smashed up through the mind of Sepiyun, and this is what you get. And so the Conquest Princess is the giant Voltron-style mech. And each of the agents is a member of Tiara. You can check down there for what that actually stands for. I can never keep it straight in my mind. And Tiara is also the name of their ship. And what's happening is, as you're going through this game, you are dealing with kind of invading aliens, bad guys, onto the Tiara itself. And as you are defeating those aliens, you're also kind of teleporting down to different planets, deal with various mini games that you might have. You might be fighting the Mechapede on kind of one side of the board, and on the other side of the board, you're kind of invading space aliens coming down that you're shooting and taking out. And all the while, you're trying to accomplish your various goals before your game timer runs out, and the Tiara itself is going to kind of reset the timeline so you get another crack at it. And so this is a fully cooperative game, and the main kind of mechanic that you're dealing with is this cooperative bag building, because what's going to happen is anytime you try to shoot or attack any of these bad guys, you're going to be drawing out of the bag. But when you draw a success out of the bag, it's going to stay on the board until someone picks it back up. And at the same time, when you draw a miss out of the bag, you're going to have the opportunity to let it stay on your board, which is going to increase the power and the likelihood of successes in that bag. And then the other major mechanic is that there's an action selection. It's the gauntlet kind of thing that you're wearing on your arm. And you're going to be able to choose to either move, and by move, you can either move yourself or move a tile from the board back into the bag. You're going to do shooting, which is you're shooting a bad guy, you're shooting the cannons at the aliens coming down, you're attacking the Mechapede or whatever, or you're going to engage, and you're going to engage with different rooms and different areas on the game board, and that'll change, place to place. It might be the Mindery where you're kind of healing yourself, it might be the wardrobe where you're getting new fashion items, and so on and so on. And so that's kind of the core of what's going on mechanically. Now, what do I like about this game? Now, the first thing that I like about the game is there is a lot of variance in the game as you play through. Because you see, a lot of times in these various crisis management games, even when they're very good, you're still always doing more or less the same thing. So I think of a game like The Loop, which I adore. You're still mostly, in almost all the different scenarios, you're still doing pretty much the same thing. You have different goals, it might be slightly different, but you're doing the same basic thing. However, in Conquest Princess, the things that you're doing are completely different. When you're fighting the invading aliens, you're doing one type of mechanic. I mean, yes, you're still shooting, but the way you beat them is completely different from how you deal with the Mechapede on the other side, which is completely different from how you unlock your space pets on another side of the board, and that's completely different from how the boss fight's going to be later on, and so on. They are totally different ways of utilizing the base mechanic of this drawing out of the bag. And I think that is really, really cool, because it just gives you so many different ways to exercise your brain as you're working through this, as you're working through the different scenarios that you're playing. I also really like the integration of theme into the mechanics, and even down to the Easter eggs and fun little things that you get to say as you're going through, the way you're getting your fast fashion, and fashion, of course, is power, and that's going to give you abilities, and it down to the way that you can cooperate with anybody else, because, you know, friendship is also power. And so if you're working with somebody else, you get to use their abilities, which again is going to give you bonuses. And there's all these things that are just mixed in, which sound kind of silly and goofy, but when you see how they're integrated into the game, it really, really works. And I really appreciate that. Then along with things that I think work really well and actually are also kind of unique, this cooperative bag building, I think is pretty special. I legitimately now, I've played a lot of bag building games. Not a lot. I've played bag building games. I've played bag management games, but I've never played one that is cooperative, where you are all using the same bag and you're all choosing, okay, I'm going to debuff myself for the next turn so everybody else has a better chance of pulling a success out of the bag. I think that is just fantastic. The amount of choices that you have of building the bag, keeping negative results out of the bag, because, you know, I think all of that just really does work well. I think all the characters and their powers that they have are very unique. There's this way you're kind of going to power yourself up, which is super, super satisfying to do, but it's not easy to do, which makes it even more satisfying. You all have to work together to get someone to actually power up and transform into their ultimate form. All of that, I just think it's very, very unique. The next thing I'll say is, and this one actually took me a while to come around to, I think this theme is great. You see, this is not a theme that I would normally be into. It's just not. You know, like, don't get me wrong. I like me some Project Runway and some Next in Fashion and all of those things. But I'm not a fashionable guy. It's just not. If you know me, you know that's true. I will wear jeans and I will wear a shirt, and that's about it. Nor was I ever a big fan of Voltron or Power Rangers. I watched, but I never really got into it. So you take these things, you put them together, that's way outside what I'm interested in. But it's really well done. Like, this is a theme that is unique. It is well thought through. There is tons of story to it. And it is realized in the game. And that I think is relatively rare in the gaming space. And when you find a game like that, I think you just have to dig in and dive deep. So what are my quibbles with the game? The first one is it's huge. It takes up so much space. Now, I know for a fact, because I've talked to Seppi about it, it is being condensed and they're working on it. But even once that's done, it's going to be a game that takes up a lot of table space. Now, it's going to become manageable, but it is going to take up a lot of table space. The next thing I'll say is it is very, very, very hard. This is one of the harder crisis management games I've ever played. And that's just something to keep in mind, though. There's always ways to make something easier, but it is a very hard game. And then the last thing that I'm going to say is you have the theme and the art. And this is something that you just might not be into it. And I'm just going to have to say that give this game and this theme a chance, because everybody that I've encouraged to try this game, Mark Dainty from Not Board Gaming, Don Baggett from Secret Cabal, Barrett Diddler from Meet Me at the Table, every single one of them initially said, this theme isn't for me, but okay, I'll try it. And every single one of them really liked the game and was really getting into the Easter eggs. Guys, there are so many Easter eggs in this game, but they were really getting into it. But they had to take that leap of faith. And a lot of you are looking at the theme and saying, it's not for me. I'm telling you, it is for you, but you got to get in and try it. And that, of course, brings me to my final thoughts. This is a game that I think is pretty unique. I think it's a special game overall. It's why I agreed to work on it. And if you're looking for a hard crisis management game that's doing some stuff that you haven't done before, and if you are looking for some fun Easter eggs and little bits, then this is the game for you. Obviously, take it all with a grain of salt, because I am helping work on this campaign a little bit. So you have all of that. So there you have it, folks. As always, if you found this video useful, please like, subscribe, share, maybe join the channel. As always, thank you so much for watching. Have a wonderful, wonderful day.